Live from the Ancobian capital, Lumumba, the news source of the African continent, Habari Network International.
Habari. I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and this is Habari Network International. We are a news program broadcasting from the nation of Ankobia, a first world country in Africa. We present the news that's currently affecting the African world in and out of the continent. This program is presented in English for our English-speaking Africans. We look to translate our news in various African languages in the future, but for now, we hope you enjoy our show. Habari. I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, and this is H.N.I. In this week's top stories for the week of October 18th, 2021. In COVID news, unfortunately, Corona still exists. This week's confirmed cases of COVID-19 among all African nations have reached over 8 million. Of that number, 7.7 million have recovered. The nation of Ankobia has reported its number of confirmed cases at just over 101,000. Ankobia is among the lowest global number of COVID deaths at 1,276. The Ankobia Disease Center has credited the high recovery rate to the locally developed H.N.I vaccine. Global demand for the vaccine has pushed the manufacturer Soroba to start construction on offshore operations in China, India, and the US. Hey Kenya, you can now stay up past your bedtime. Kenya's president has lifted the nationwide curfew this week. The 7 p.m. curfew was implemented in March of 2020. Since then, social distancing and the H.N.I vaccine has improved conditions for Kenyans across the country. President Uhuru did mention that bars will still close at 7 p.m. for the time being. Kenyan women are leading, but this time, not on the track. Kenya was also in the news again by surpassing the global average of board directors. According to the Kenyan news outlet Daily Nation, the country's boardroom gender diversity is at 36%, with the global average standing at 23.3%. Kenya now stands as a model for gender equality among the boardroom. 1 year later, still no answers for Nigerian civilians. This week made it a year since Nigerian protesters clashed with the Special Anti-Robbery Squad known as SARS. Mass protests started after the Lekki Toll incident, which resulted in the death and imprisonment of many Nigerian civilians who demanded an end to the police faction. Since then, over 100 civilians are currently waiting compensation for what they claim as police brutality. So far, the Nigerian Bar Association has reported that $637,470 has been awarded to 47 petitioners. Does Ghana desire to be so fresh, so clean? Ghana's president, Nana Addo, has launched a campaign that calls for Ghanaians to clean and maintain their residential and commercial surroundings. The call to action is inspired from the government's desire to give the nation a new look. Since gaining independence in 1957, Ghana has seen its population multiply 5 times. President Addo has urged that we should change our attitudes about sanitation. What's better than one woman leading? Barbados says 2. The island of Barbados elected its first president, Sandra Mason, on Wednesday. This comes shortly after the island decided to remove England's Elizabeth as head of state. Mason, a judge and former ambassador, will be sworn in on November 30th, 2021. Ironically, this was the same day that the island liberated itself from England 55 years ago. The Ankobia ambassador to Barbados, H.N.I, among other African ambassadors, are expected to be in attendance at the historic inauguration. The Ankobia embassy released a press statement congratulating the newly elected head of state and stated that Ankobia and the rest of Africa are ready and excited to work together. Barbados' decisions to drop its colonial ruler came in September of 2020. The decision sparked debates among the Jamaican parliament on whether they should follow suit and drop Britain as its head of state. Jamaica is among of the few Caribbean islands to still have colonial rule after independence. President Mason will join Parliament with Prime Minister Mia Mottley as the only African nation to currently have 2 women as heads of government. From H.N.I, we also congratulate President Mason and the island of Barbados. Morocco's having a party. Guess who's not invited? Morocco is suspending flights to and from the United Kingdom and other European countries. On Thursday, the government banned flights until further notice, citing that the growing number of COVID cases among European countries was concerning to its citizens. Morocco joins the very short list of African countries to suspend travel to and from its nation since the pandemic began. From March 2020 to November 2020, the Ankobi Airline Authority canceled flights to and from England, Germany, China, and the United States. Flights resumed in the country on December 2020 after trial runs for the Sebi vaccine proved highly effective. On Tuesday of this week, the UK reported 43,738 new COVID infections. The number of hospitalizations were up 10% since a week prior. British health officials stated that vaccine supplies and proper medical facilities are part to blame for the high number of cases. Hold the line, hold the line. King Mswati says, hold the line. South African President Ramaphosa sent special envoys to help the Eswatini king restore order in the nation. The nation formerly known as Swaziland have had protests for months after opposition groups have called the king to stand down and place the country as a democracy instead of a monarchy with political parties. In recent days, the country's internet has also shut down, causing even more frustrations among its citizens. Things are heating up, but not in a good way. In climate news, a report on climate change was published this week. The report by the World Meteorological Organization states that Africa has seen a rise in temperature, sea levels, landslides, and droughts. The report also states that Africa is 17% of the world's population, but only accounting for 4% of the world's greenhouse emissions. The Ankobi Secretary General, Wangeshi Kamau, stated that Africa is not a home to offshore drilling companies, nor does Africa have a history of debating the use of renewable energy. She stated that, I think the first world countries need to look in their backyard at what exactly has caused the world to start warming up. Since 1994, the Ankobi Global Climate Research Center has made tremendous efforts to reverse global warming, but failure to reach agreement talks at annual conferences have frustrated the group's officials. Regardless, Kamau states, we can only do our part. First world countries only have themselves to blame. When we come back from our break, we will turn to this week's proverb reading. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this. Welcome back. Here at H.N.I, we understand that Africans have been speaking proverbially since ancient times. And who are we to ruin tradition? Let's go ahead and pick this week's proverb. Got a few. And this week's proverb reads, from no specific nationality or ethnic group, but I take responsibility for my choices today and always. Once again, I take responsibility for my choices today and always. My interpretation of that is owning up. The life that you live, you are responsible for that. And you, sir? What's your interpretation of that?
To be or not to be, that decision is yours.
If you have your own interpretation, leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media platforms at Habari Network International. Until next time, I'm Ochanda Gabano Koyo, signing off.